Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. Today, I will be reading from the r/EntitledPeople subreddit, so let's jump into it. Neighbor thinks he's entitled to take our fence down. I rent a house with my sister and brother-in-law, as well as my hubby and kids. At the time of this, I only had the one kid, and it's only my sister and I in this story. The neighbor isn't so much a neighbor, but a guy who bought the house next door, tore it down, and built two of those skinny houses. I can't remember what they're called. Property investors? Developers? I have no idea. It was summer, so my sister and I were out in our backyard with my daughter playing around when this guy pops his head over the fence and asks if we can talk. I don't like talking to people, so my sister went up to him to see what was up.
Hey, I'm so-and-so. Do you live here?
Yes, we do.
Great! I own these two houses next door, and I'm trying to get them ready to put on the market. I have guys coming to build a fence, and I was hoping you'd be okay with me having them rebuild this side of your fence as well. I'll cover the cost of everything.
That sounds great, but unfortunately, we don't own the place. We rent, so you'll have to call my landlord. I can give you his info.
Okay.
My sister gives him our landlord's number, and he leaves. We send off a quick text to our landlord to let him know what happened and that someone would be calling him about the fence. Landlord was game, as he didn't have to pay for anything, but I had a feeling the guy would want to change the fence style, so definitely wanted to talk to him about it. A little over a week later, it was morning. I let my dogs out and went to make my daughter breakfast. I was about to start when the doorbell rang. There was a guy dressed in construction gear. I opened the door, and before I can even say hello, he goes, "You need to get your dogs inside." And why is that? Because we're here to take the fence down, and we can't do that with the dogs out here. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize everything had been all sorted out. No one notified me. Yeah, I'll get them in. I close the door, and as I'm about to head to the back door, a thought crosses my mind that maybe I should confirm everything with my landlord. Well, good thing I did, because he had not received one call from anyone about the fence. Not even a missed call from a number he didn't recognize. Nothing. At this point, my sister was awake, and I had continued to leave my dogs outside. My landlord suggested asking for the supervisor and asking him to have the guy who hired him call my landlord. I forgot to mention, totally important though, my landlord owns the whole fence. Even though it's technically a shared fence, he is the one who owns it. They need my landlord's permission to take it down or face destruction of property charges. I don't even have a chance to finish writing my landlord's number down before there's another knock at my door. My sister answers this time. "You need to get the dogs inside. You need permission to be here." My landlord just informed us that he had no idea anyone was coming to take the fence down today or any day, which is pretty concerning since he is the one that owns the fence. I don't know anything about that. I get that. That's why I need to talk to the supervisor. I can give him my landlord's number, and we can get this all cleared up. My sister then goes to talk to the supervisor, and I stayed inside with my daughter. Dog's still outside. My sister comes back and said the supervisor was going to call the guy who owns the houses to get him to call our landlord. About 20 minutes go by, then construction dude comes back. "Everything has been cleared up. Could you get the dogs in now?" I let the dogs in, and my sister and I go about our day. I should have called my landlord to confirm a second time. About an hour later, I get a text from my landlord. "Hey, no one's called me yet. Are the construction guys still there?" When I tell you my heart was in my stomach and throat all at the same time, I quickly call him. "Oh my god, you need to get down here. I'm so sorry. The construction dude came to the door and said they worked everything out with you, and we're given the go-ahead to start working. I should have called you again, but I didn't even think. I'm so sorry. So sorry." Whoa, it's okay. It's not your fault. You shouldn't even have to be dealing with any of this. The guy should have called me as soon as you said you didn't own the place. Can you do me a favor though? Go see how much of the fence they tore down, and take pictures, please. Yeah, I can do that. Awesome. Send them to me as soon as you have the pictures. I'm on my way. I then go out back to have a smoke, and pretend I'm playing on my phone while getting pictures. They had already taken down a majority of the fence. The only parts left was the frame about halfway down. I sent the pictures off to my landlord and went inside to wait till he got here. Now, reader, if you haven't already figured out, my landlord is a super calm guy. He knows his laws and knew this was going to go his way, no matter how it played out. When he got to the house, he walked up to the supervisor with a smile on his face. Everything that follows was told to me by my landlord after he was done talking, and I'm trying to remember this as best as I can. Hey, I'm C. I own this house here, and this happens to be my fence you're currently tearing apart. Oh, we had permission to. No, you had permission from no one. No one with the authority to give you permission anyway. I also know for a fact my tenant told you that you needed to have your client call me. I called him, and he said he didn't need to do that, and that everything was good to go. He already had your permission. Then I suggest you call him up for me, please. Supervisor calls Guy and explains that my landlord was there and wanted to talk to him. Hey there, it's C. I'm the guy that owns the house that you're currently destroying the fence of. I'm just wondering why you thought you had permission to tear apart my fence.
Oh, I didn't realize the house was owned by someone else. The girl I talked to said I could go ahead and replace the fence.
Ha ha ha, no, she didn't. She told you that she didn't own the place, and you needed to call me. Even gave you my number.
No, that's not true.
Don't. Just don't. I trust my tenants more than I trust you. So stop with this, and instead let's talk about the fence. I want my fence back the way it was.
I was of course going to put the fence back. I was going to change the style a bit. Is that alright?
No, it's not. Had you called me, you and I would have worked out a new style of fence. All I would have asked is that it at least looks similar to the rest of my fence. Now, if you want a new fence, you can pay to have my whole fence replaced to look the same.
Okay, I'll have the fence redone the way it was.
Sounds great. Also, don't forget the nice side faces me. We all then had a good laugh about how everything played out. Before leaving, my landlord asked if we needed him to do anything to make this all easier on us, since we were the ones living there. We asked that he have them bring in a temporary fence so that we could still let the dogs out. Landlord said he would make sure they brought one in, at the expense of the guy, of course. You may think this is the end, but it's not. A temporary fence was brought in, and essentially these huge metal panels held together by a metal connector at the bottom and zip ties. We didn't care, it worked. They built the fence, but they left a huge gap between the sidewalk in the backyard and the fence, about a foot deep and wide enough that I could fit my whole leg in it. They also left the temporary fence for 2 weeks until my dad took it apart and heaved it over the fence. Also, my front gate had to be taken apart, and instead of building it the way it was originally, gate was connected to the fence, went as wide as the sidewalk, then another little bit of fence was built to connect it to the house, and instead they built me a barn door of a gate, so heavy that it leans so I have to lift it every time I go to open it, or else it's a bee to get it unlocked. I also don't have a sidewalk where the new lock was. It dipped down into a rock bed where I would be too short to even reach the lock. I called my landlord and he had the guy have the workers come back twice, once to pack the gap they left, and the second time so they could add paving stones to the rock bed so that I could reach the lock. Again, this was all done on the guy's dime, and when he tried to complain about it, my landlord reminded him that this could have gone a whole other way and could have been costing him a lot more money. Also that he could make him have them rebuild the gate to the original instead of just fixing the problems they created. Ugh. So, a little fun fact about me, I used to work as a foreclosed property manager, and a lot of the old teardown properties were bought by these exact infill developers, and they were the absolute worst to deal with. They typically had this pompous, entitled head honcho attitude for whatever reason, so reading this story hit close to home for me because I've had to deal with these people before. Also, oddly enough, I was looking at OP's profile, and we live in the same city, so it's actually quite possible that I know and have dealt with this very developer in this story, which would be so hilarious. Small world. Also, I may just be biased towards infill developers because I hate infills. It pains me to my core when adorable character homes are just blatantly torn down and nothing is salvaged. Then this ultra-modern duplex is put in its place. It's so ugly and bland to me. I am aware everything is subjective though, and I'm an old soul, and that is just my personal taste. And if you like modern houses, then that's cool too. But anyways, that is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed that Entitled People story. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!